Hey guys, Omni here. So last night I went and saw Halloween Kills in theaters. I've been really looking forward to this film. Really, after the trailers that we got, I thought the trailers were fantastic and really hyped me up for this movie. You know, we got the same creative team behind the 2018 version, which I did like. I didn't like the twist in there, as I've mentioned many times. I know there's people that do defend that, but I thought it was a little over the top, to say the least. But the rest of the movie, I really liked what they were doing, the direction that they took. This film picks up right after the events of the 2018 version, like right after the events, like picking up directly where we left off. You know, the word has not got out to the town yet about what has happened at the Strode home, and they are on their way to the hospital thinking they killed Michael Myers. And of course, as we saw in the trailers, that was not the case, and he's out and about, and it is a bloodfest. You know, we got the same creative team behind the 2018 version here, and it carries over. Now, one thing I would like to temper your expectations. Now, I'm not going to give any spoilers at all into, details of the film, specifics of the film, but I will say, just to temper expectations, if you're going in this expecting a lot of Laurie Strode, she's not in here a lot. This movie focuses more so on the effects that Michael has on the town of Haddonfield. As we follow a lot of returning characters, some played by new people, some played by some people reprising their roles from the original films. Tommy Doyle, who this time around is played by Anthony Michael Hall, and he is, I would argue that there's no central character in this film, but he is one of the characters that we do really spend a lot of time with in this. There's a couple of people we follow throughout the story, a little bit more so than others. One is Andi Matichak's Allison from the first film. We follow her. We follow Anthony Michael Hall's Tommy with a group of characters that he's kind of rallied behind. Once word gets out that Michael is on the loose again, there's this mob mentality that forms from the survivors of this previous event, and people who just truly do not want this to happen again and break out, as more bodies are being found throughout the day, as Michael is just tearing through this town. And I will say this movie is the bloodiest, most brutal that we've seen Michael in the franchise. And some of the kills are pretty creative. He switches things up. It's pretty interesting to see some of the ways that he kind of goes on the prowl and how he executes certain people. We also have Kyle Richards in here playing Lindsay once again, as he joins Nancy Stevens, who's also a familiar face because she played Nurse Marion, who was Dr. Loomis's right hand in the first couple of films. We've seen her multiple times throughout the series, most of the time getting axed off, but she's in here as well with this group that survived the original film. She's in here as well. There are a lot of interesting supporting characters that are new that we're just seeing in this story around, people that have actually moved into the Myers home, and they're really fun. I had a lot of fun with those two characters. And there's a nurse and doctor couple that we meet early on in the film that are a lot of fun as well. We also see a lot of interesting flashbacks to the original setting of the first film, where they even change up the camera. I'm not sure exactly how they filmed it. Maybe, I don't know if it was a filter done in special effects or anything like that, or if they just used an older camera to film it. But it definitely, there's a different feel and setting when they go into any of the flashbacks to flesh out the initial night of Michael's attacks and what the other side of that looked like that we didn't actually witness in the first film from Laurie's point of view, from the police trying to track him down, the police engaging in him, and how they actually apprehend Michael. They recreate his original look, they create the original feel, and it was really interesting, and I really like what they did with that. The movie does start to make an attempt to try to explain Michael Myers a little bit, this iteration of Michael Myers. And it seems like it's going to be going down a particular route that may not have rubbed a lot of fans the right way the first time we started to go down this path. It's no Cult of Thorn or anything like that, but it does feel like it's starting to turn towards the supernatural. And we kind of speculated a little bit about that just from some of the lines and dialogue that was in the trailer. We talked about it a couple times in some of the reactions. There's some interesting social commentary that they try to inject in here, which gets kind of lost in the heat of things. I think it wasn't very well handled and integrated into the story. There's this idea of mob mentality, which I grew up in a town much smaller than Haddonfield, so a lot of the way the people reacted, I can wholeheartedly get behind until like a little bit farther into the third act, where it just gets a little ridiculous. It almost verges on almost cartoonish at times with some of the ways the people act, some of the decisions that get made. There's a lot of situations in which Michael just kind of gets away because they had to dumb down a lot of the characters in certain situations. There's some inconsistencies that happen between shot to shot just to allow Michael to get away in a couple situations as well. Considering you have an entire town hunting this guy, they had to come up with quite a few reasons to allow him to get through a lot of the situations that are established in this. Outside of the stuff with Michael and the people hunting Michael, everything else in the film kind of feels like it's on a treadmill, like it's running in place or running in circles, because we keep hearing people go through the same routine, same dialogue, same conversations over and over again. There's also these repeated, like, I think one of the things that took me out of it maybe the most might have actually been the script, because there's a lot of repetitive dialogue in this. There's a particular line in question that we hear in the trailer that gets repeated multiple times by various different characters throughout the film. Like, you could throw up a counter. This line comes up so many times throughout the film, and we already know that there's another film coming. So like, a lot of this again feels like I wish they would have never announced Halloween Ends until this film came out, because just knowing this isn't the end, there's all this buildup, there's all this rising tension towards this theme of evil dies tonight, and it gets to the point where it's just like, I don't know if this was just like they got lazy in the script, or they thought that would hit harder. It definitely didn't for me. I just cringed and winced every time it happened after that, because it became the chant of the town, and it just makes it feel like you're just trying to pad out the stuff with Michael, with this stuff going on with the town and the people. It's trying to juggle a lot of different things, from the social commentary to the kills with Michael to the explanations of what's going on with him, as well as trying to focus on his general effects on Haddonfield itself, that it never really quite comes together completely for me. So for me, it was very disjointed. It was very tonally inconsistent at times. It was still a lot of fun, but it wasn't as much of a smooth ride as the first film. I feel like this one was trying to do a little too much in one film, and it never really all came together. And I would say some of the characters don't really have a lot of satisfactory payoffs in the ones that are used. Some of the people that end up getting killed. I really feel like maybe this is just a stepping stone to get to where they want Michael to be in Halloween Ends. I was excited going into this movie, and I left it quite befuddled. It definitely did not live up to the hype for me. Michael was awesome. Michael was great in every scene that he was in. It's just everything else surrounding the Michael scenes is mixed. There's some scenes that I really enjoyed. There's some scenes that made me wince, and not in like the ooh, ow kind of way, in the why are we doing that kind of way. There's a couple characters that get a lot more screen time than I would have imagined that we would have gotten. There's some characters that I didn't like in the 2018 version that shine in this one. It's pretty interesting what they're doing with this, and I don't know what they're going to be doing in the next one, because they've also hinted at Halloween Ends will not be the end of this Michael Myers, at least this continuity. So I don't know what their trajectory necessarily is, and they said that the next film will take place during COVID times, so there's obviously going to be a time skip of some kind towards the end of this. Are they going to tie it into the pandemic? Is Michael going to get COVID? I mean, we got to be careful, man. He's 61 in this movie. Laurie's up there too. Got to be careful. I don't know the direction they're going with this. As far as this film goes, it was fun. It was okay. It unfortunately didn't live up to the hype that I got from the trailer. I know every fan is different, but I am obsessed with the Halloween franchise. I have watched every movie so many times, and I love this character. This is my favorite slasher series. Halloween's my favorite horror movie of all time. And that aside, I still came out of this like quite disappointed with the film, but I had fun with it. But it was just after what the 2018 did for me, it was a little bit of a letdown. I will say that this at this point, it is not my favorite timeline in the Michael Myers series of films. So we've got like 4 running timelines now with the Michael Myers verse. And I'd say right now this is probably my number 2 timeline, at least. Maybe number 3. I don't know. After this one, I think it's just going to land on how they close it out, how the direction post Halloween Kills, like where they're going with this. I just think they set themselves up for failure by announcing that it was going to be a trilogy, because it just kind of sucked a lot of the tension out of this film, and it just made me wondering, like, how is Michael getting out of all of this? And when the thing at the end finally happens, it just makes you go, really? Okay. But guys, if you saw the film, I'd love to know what you thought. So sound off in the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below, and we will carry on that conversation after the video. You can also join the conversation in the Discord. Links to that and all my socials are down below. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Mandy Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori Korskov, Margaret Grace, Peeling Zim, and Mary Bradley. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. But that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you all have a happy Halloween. Take care, everybody.